and welcome to my channel. If you're new, I'm Adrian and Kiwi is my Indian ringneck who is currently taking a nap. He'll probably be doing that until I decide to go live later this evening. Anyways, so before we jump into the tutorial, I wanted to say that this was my first tutorial in a really long time. And I do apologize for later in the video you'll start to see, or later in the tutorial you'll start to see where the project gets larger and it's harder and harder for me to get on camera. And so I did want to apologize for getting out of frame periodically. And then I also want to say I'm sorry for repeating myself. I had to write down in my notes what all I needed to apologize for. But several times I repeat myself. That is because I filmed this over such a long period of time. But anyways, guys, I hope that you guys like the tutorial. Let me know in the comments below if you have questions or comments. Also, let me know what you think about the little intro I did. I did a little bit differently than I usually would do and put Carly's pictures and her little modeling first before, you know, the Kiwi's crochet corner theme song, I guess, for lack of a better description. So yeah, I want to hear lots of thoughts. You know, yeah. Lots of thoughts, and just so you guys do know, this is an entirely inclusive, size-inclusive pattern, so you can make it in any size, with any yarn, and with any hook. It's all done by measurements. I will put materials in the description box, as well as timestamps, and hopefully I can get all the timestamps just in the right place. But anyways, guys, I'm going to let you go for now. Bye! Alright, guys, so for this tutorial, we are going to be using this color here, which is Red Heart Super Saver in the colorway Lavender. I actually got it at the thrift store for $1. At the time that I got it, it was a full skein, but I have used it to make a goblin, but I have 2 or 3 others of the same color, so we're gonna start out with this color. Eventually we're going to be moving on to use this Bernat Pop cake. The reason for this solid color in conjunction with this cake is because I only have 3 cakes of this Bernat Pop and it is discontinued. Yeah, now I did find 3 of these for sale on eBay, but they wanted like $45 for only 3 cakes of yarn, which I thought was a lot. Both yarns are a medium weight 4. However, this pattern is done by measurements, so you can technically use whatever hook and whatever yarn you prefer. I have every intention of at some point making myself a pair of these pajama pants in a weight 2, and Casey picked out some yarn that is a weight 3 that she liked. So yeah, since it's a weight, or since it's done by measurements, you can use whatever yarn and hook size you want. With these yarns, I'm going to be using a 6.5 millimeter hook. This is a Knitter's Pride Waves hook. My usual 6.5 millimeter is with another project. Of course, you're going to need stitch markers, a tapestry needle to weave in your ends, things like that. And then for sizing purposes, you're going to need to know your inseam. You're going to need to know your approximate thigh measurement, and you're going to need your approximate waist measurement. These are, like I said, they're all approximate, and you can add positive ease if you want. For example, with my niece's waist measurement, 32 inches, I actually measured her at, I think, like 31 or 30, and I added 2 inches, you know. So, we're going to be using the spider stitch. If you guys watched my spider stitch hoodie tutorial, you'll be familiar with it. And this is all derived because Casey wanted a pair of pajama pants and really liked that stitch. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is we are going to chain an even number for the bottom of our pants. We're actually going to be working from the bottom up, and we're going to work each leg separately, and then we're going to be joining them together. So first things first, we have to chain an even number to the length that our thigh is going to be. So I'm going to chain any even number, and then meet back up with you guys. I'm gonna chain an even number that will equal the length of 20 inches, and then I will meet back up with you guys and show you guys where we're gonna go from there. Okay, so I ended up chaining 70 for my first leg, and like I said, we're gonna be working from the bottom up. So we're working the bottoms of our legs. So this is going to be our leg hole, for lack of a better description. This is going to be our leg hole, and it does seem a little large, but as far as pajama pants go, these are going to be straight legged, so the thigh measurement is going to be the same all the way down the pants. That's why it seems so large. So we're going to go all the way down our chain, making sure that it's not twisted. And we're going to slip stitch into the first back bump. If you look at our chain, there is the front V-stitch, which lots of people work into. I'm going to go into this back bump and work into the back bump. And we're going to slip stitch there to make a ring. And just to make sure that everything is where it's supposed to be. Alright. So for this first round, we are just going to be chaining, or this next round, we're just going to be chaining up one. We're just going to place one single crochet in each of those back bumps. Super easy. And the reason I'm doing that is because it does leave this nice little edge that I like to work with, and we're just, I hope you guys can see that, but we're just getting into just these back bumps here. I think most of you guys that are watching this tutorial probably already know what those back bumps are or how to work in them, but in case you don't, I'm going to show you how to do just a couple of single crochets and show you what it looks like. It can be a little bit finicky. Maybe I chained a little too tight. So you're going to get something that looks like this. And that nice edge that I'm talking about is this here. That's gonna look really nice for the bottom of our pajama pants, because you got to think this right here is going to be the bottom that's going to be, you know, against the ground or whatever, and I just think that's a really nice edge to it. So I'm going to go around and work my way all the way around this piece, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of this round. Okay, so I'm back at the start of my row. Hopefully you guys can see this. Now, I've already gone and counted my stitches, so I already know that I have 70 stitches in, or 70 single crochets, because you're going to want your single crochets to match the same number that you chained. Be careful not to include this chain 1 in your count. Also, another thing that I wanted to mention that I forgot to mention before was you may want to write down how many you chained, so that when you go to do the second leg, you know how many you made and you don't have to try to go and recount. So we're going to slip stitch into this first single crochet here, and we're going to chain up 1. Now, your chain 1s do not count as a stitch. And then we're going to single crochet into this stitch here. We're going to skip 1, and then we're going to place a spider stitch. So we'll skip 1 stitch, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, all in that same stitch. I'm going to skip 1 stitch, and we're going to place another spider stitch. Again, the spider stitch consists of a single crochet, a chain 1, and a single crochet. So we're going to skip 1 stitch and place another spider stitch. And we're going to do this all the way around until we get back to the beginning of our round. That's what it's going to start to look like. So I will meet back up with you guys once I get back around, and I will show you how to do round 2 of the spider stitch. The spider stitch is usually done flat, but I will show you guys how to do it in the round as soon as I get back. Alright guys, as you can see, I have made it all the way around for my first row of spider stitch, and I've made my last spider stitch right here. You will notice that there is still 1 single crochet right here. We're going to go ahead and skip that, and then you're going to see a slip stitch and your chain 1, and those are going to sit right in that stitch, in the very first stitch where we placed our very first single crochet. So we're going to jump into that stitch, and over the top of our slip stitch we're going to place a single crochet, and then we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to slip stitch into our first single crochet, and that's how we join our rounds. So to get this to work in the round, I just went ahead and I turned my work, and in that chain 1 space we are going to slip stitch, chain 1, and then we're going to place a single crochet. And this is going to be our repeat round, by the way. So we have our first single crochet right there. we're going to skip 2 stitches and go into the next chain 1 space. And we're going to place another spider stitch. And we're going to do that all the way around. And it goes pretty quickly once you have, once you have the hang of it, it goes real quick. You're just going to skip 2 stitches. In the chain 1 spaces, you're going to place another spider stitch, and of course the spider stitch consists of a single crochet, a chain 1, and a single crochet. So this is my last spider stitch here. And again, this is our repeat round, so this is how you'll join every round from this point on. You're gonna see this stuff here. This is our slip stitch right here. That is our chain 1. We're gonna go right into that first stitch that we worked in. We're gonna place a single crochet over the top of all of that chain 1 and slip stitching. There's a chain 1. We are going to chain 1, and then we're going to slip stitch to join the round. And then again, to start round 3, we are going to find that chain 1 space that we just made. We're going to slip stitch, chain 1, and place a single crochet. And then we're going to jump right into our next chain 1 space and start our spider stitches. So I'm going to be doing 1 more row of purple, and then I'm going to switch to this Bernat pop and do the rest of my inseam measurement in that Bernat pop color. Something to note is I chained 70 and I was looking for a measurement of 20 inches. After starting my spider stitches, this piece has actually kind of gotten a little bit larger, and now it measures approximately 22 inches around or 11 inches across, and that's fine. It's if it gets a little bit larger. I think I actually chained a little bit more than what was necessary, but it is gonna kind of get bigger with the spider stitches, because these are just chain spaces. Now later, if we go in and maybe add something to the bottom, which we could do, I don't know, I'm filming this as I go, so it may be an option, it may not be, I don't know, that this kind of bowed look may change. But these are just a pair of pajama pants, so really it's probably going to come down to one's own preferences. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and do this round, this third round of spider stitch, and then I'm going to change color. I will meet back up with you guys after I have a few rounds worked up to show you guys what my piece looks like. Alright guys, so here is my first pants leg, and you can see I have already gone ahead and fastened off. I'm probably not going to be able to get all of it on screen, but it does measure 24 inches. Now I did not go ahead yet and count how many rows I did, or how many rounds, whichever you want to call it. Now eventually I'll need to do that, because I'll need to make the second leg the same length as this first leg here. For the moment though, this first leg is going to get folded up and set aside. And then here, you guys can see I've already started my second leg, following the same process that I did with the first one. The only difference is that when I come to the point that the leg is finished and I fastened off, with the first one, I'm not going to fasten this one off. So I'm going to go ahead and work 24 inches worth of spider stitch all the way up, and then rather than fasten off, I will meet back up with you guys and show you guys how we're going to join the two pants legs together. Alright guys, so you can see that I have finished up my second pants leg, but I have not fastened off. That is because in this next row around, we are going to be joining the two pants legs together, and it's going to be, we're going to start off the round just a little bit differently. So I'm going to set the second pants leg here, or the first one, technically this is the first one. I'm going to set it aside real quick, and I'm going to show you how to do the beginning of this round. So we're going to go ahead and turn like we've been doing. So just like that, and in that chain one space here, we're going to go ahead and slip stitch and chain one. Now usually we just place one single crochet in that chain space and then we move on to the next spider stitch. However, this time we're going to place a full spider stitch in this chain one space. So we're going to place the slip stitch, the chain one, and then we're going to do a single crochet, a chain one, and a single crochet. And it'll look like that. Now we're going to jump into the next spider stitch, or the next single, the next chain space, and we're just going to work regular spider stitches until we get all the way around to this last spider stitch here. Okay, so hopefully you guys are going to be able to see this. So right here is my last spider stitch for this round. We're going to go ahead and place a spider stitch there in that chain one space. Just a regular spider stitch. Now, to join the two pants legs, let me get the second one over here. We're going to be working with the inside of the pants facing us. We're just going to pull this string and leave it on the inside. But I like to keep my seams on the inside of the pants together, so we're actually going to be draining them in such a way that hopefully the seams will be on the inside. I mean, you really can't see the seams anyways, but anyways, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of space, and this is kind of a big project. So instead of slip stitching into this one, we are actually going to find the chain one space of this one. This is where we fastened off on the first leg, and we're going to go in from the inside out so that we're working the same way that we are working with on the other pants leg, if that makes sense. You know, on this one we're going in from the inside to do our single crochet and then chaining one and then doing another single crochet. And we're going to do that on this same side here. We're going to place a spider stitch right there in that first chain one space. We'll place a spider stitch. Where is the end of my yarn? There it is. I'm hoping I can get this on camera where you guys will be able to see. So just as if that spider stitch was the next one in the round, we're just gonna place a single crochet, a chain one, and a single crochet. So we have our spider stitch here, and then we have our next spider stitch. This is the first portion of the join. Now later, when we get all the way around, we're gonna place another spider stitch in this last chain one space here, and that is how we'll be joining to this side. It'll be joined up like this. Now that does mean that there's going to be a little bit of a space here. We'll have to go back later and sew that little space closed. It's just part of, you know, the join. But from here, you're just going to skip 2, jump into the next chain one space, and place a spider stitch. And you're going to do that all the way around this pants leg here. I'll meet back up with you guys when I get to my last spider stitch on this round, and I will show you guys how we're going to go ahead and join these two pants legs in full. Okay guys, so I've had to add some more yarn. And my last chain one space is actually right here. So I'm going to skip these 2 single crochet, go into that chain one space. I'm not going to lie, this is a little bit hard to maneuver. And then I'm going to place my spider stitch right there in that chain one space. So to complete the join, we are going to slip stitch into this first single crochet here that we made all the way over there. We're going to slip stitch. Hopefully you guys are, hopefully I'm staying in frame for one. We're going to slip stitch right into the first single crochet. And then we're going to pull this apart and we're going to set up for the next round. So we're going to slip stitch into this chain one space as well. At which point we can turn our work. We can turn our work, chain 1, and then we're going to place our first single crochet for this next round, just like that. And so at this point we're going to go back to working just like we were. So we're going to skip these 2 stitches, jump into the next chain 1 space, place a single, a chain 1, and another single. And we're going to work around just like we were doing before when we made the pants legs. This sets us up to where we'll be turning in this row here and working one row with the outside facing us and then the next row with the inside facing us. It does make it a little bit harder to maneuver, but it keeps the seam in line going up the same set of spider stitches. It'll keep them going up the same, you know, that way there's not kind of a, what do you call it, like a twist or whatever. You guys will know what I'm talking about. When like you're crocheting and your joins, there's a seam, you can see the seam. This hides your seam a little bit. So yeah, you're just gonna continue on working like how you were, and then depending on if you want like high-waisted pants or maybe hip level pants, you can decide on how much more to add. But you will have to go in with some extra thread, or even if you left a length or a tail long enough, which I don't think mine's gonna be long enough. It might be. I might be able to sew the these two, this little area closed with this tail. But if you left a tail long enough, you can use it to sew this area closed when you get a few rows of spider stitch in. If not, you can take a piece of scrap yarn and sew this area closed. Like I said, this is just part of the way the join is. But I am going to go ahead and work up, I don't know, I'm not sure how many rows I'm going to work up. But I'm going to work up some rows, and then I will meet back up with you guys to sew this up and then to do the waistband. Because like I said, from this point till the waistband, you're just working the same way that you worked the pants legs. Actually, I guess we could do it right now. I'm going to try to use the tail of my first leg to go ahead and sew the little crotch area together. It may be enough, it may not be, I'm not sure. But I'm going to go ahead and give it a go. I'll show you guys how I'm gonna do it. I am just gonna, I guess we'll just go in like this here. I'll zoom in so you guys can see it. That would be helpful. I don't know what you call this stitch, this sewing stitch, but I'm just going to, I guess maybe it's is it a whip stitch? I don't know. just gonna sew it up the best I can. Alright, and then I'm gonna go ahead and place a knot. You can see it's pretty well closed up. I can check this side. Pretty well closed up. So doesn't look too bad. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and knot. I'm gonna place a little knot here. Before I go ahead and just weave in this tail. Oh, get off there. Alright, so from there I'm just going to weave in this tail. Hopefully I've stayed in frame for all of that. But I'm going to I'm just going to weave in this tail. I'm going to try to stay more in the white color than you know, the pink or the purple, because I do have you know, 3 colors here. Let me zoom out. I do have 3 colors going on here, so I'm going to try to weave it in mostly in the white, and then I'll clip that tail off, and that will do it for sewing in this little crotch area. And then for my pants, I decided that, well, actually they're for my niece, but for this pair of pants I decided that I'm gonna work probably about 8 inches worth of spider stitch, and then I'm gonna have my niece try them on before moving on to the waistband. So yeah. It's going to depend on what size you're making as far as your measurement from here to the waistband. But like I said, I'm going to shoot for 8 inches on this pair, and then possibly I'm thinking the waistband will probably be at least another 2 inches. So I'll meet back up with you guys here in a little bit. Okay guys, so something I wanted to show you guys real quick. So if your pants are looking a little wider than what you would like them to do or to be, you can decrease. So I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. If you do decide to decrease, I recommend doing it on the outer side rather than the front or the back. So I'm going to show you guys how to do a decrease in case you guys want to do that with yours. So you can see I've got a spider. You can see I've got a spider stitch here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip these 2 single crochets here, go into that chain 1 space, and I'm going to single crochet, and then I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to skip 2 single crochets and single crochet into the next chain 1 space. So what that does is that leaves you the, that brings these 2 spider stitches together. So the next time I go around, hopefully you guys are seeing this, the next row I go around, I'll just go ahead and place a spider stitch right there in that chain space. So it gives you 1 less spider stitch. It really depends on the fit that you want for your pants, but I did want to show you guys that. Also, if you wanted to increase, you would just place 2 spider stitches into the same chain 1 space. So for example, if we were going to do an increase, we would jump into this next chain space, we'd work our first spider stitch, and then in that same chain 1 space we would work a second spider stitch, so that next time we go around, so the next round, we'll have added 1 spider stitch. So I did want to show you guys that. I don't think I'm gonna be keeping this decrease. I want to see what it looks like on my niece before I decide to make any decreases, but I did want to show you guys that. So yeah, again, I'll meet back up with you guys in a bit. Okay guys, so this is Editing Adrian. Something that I wanted to add when it comes to the optional decreases, not only do I advise that you put them along the sides rather than in the front or the back of the pants, I also would advise you to do a decrease every other row instead of stacking the decreases on top of each other. What that causes is kind of a diagonal line, and you can see gaps in the pants is what happens. So you'll have like a decrease right here, and you'll have a spider stitch just above it, but then you'll have another decrease here, and you'll end up with this weird little diagonal kind of gapping. So I advise to decrease every other row. So if you're going to decrease, you know, right here, do the next row just all spider stitches, and then the next row go ahead and do another decrease, another spider stitch decrease, and that will help to keep those decreases from showing as much. Alright guys, so in this round I'm going to show you how to do the pocket insert setup. So from the crotch up, I have about 5.5 inches, and so I'm going to go ahead and place the pockets, or the pocket, I'm going to leave a hole basically on either side so that we'll be able to add pockets in later. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place stitch markers. Now I'm thinking that the pockets should be about 6 inches in width, so let's see if I can adjust this where you guys will be able to see it. You can see here I've made a few decreases to kind of bring this in just a little bit. Like I said earlier, you can choose to do that or you cannot, it doesn't matter. But since I want approximately 6-inch pockets from this outside edge with it being folded, I'm gonna measure 3 inches. Maybe, I don't know if you guys can see it. So I'm gonna measure 3 inches, and that puts me right about here in this spider stitch. So I'm gonna take that, and I'm gonna actually I'm going to pin it all the way through and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's gonna go about right there. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Maybe you guys will be able to see it a little better on this side. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure from here to about 3 inches, which will put me right about there. And I'm going to place my stitch marker right in there, and I'm just gonna go all the way through. I'm just gonna go all the way through and place my stitch marker right about there. So I'm just gonna pin it with the 1 stitch marker all the way through. So I'm gonna go ahead and work spider stitches like I normally would. Until I reach that stitch marker. In my case, it's not too many spider stitches, but that's because I'm making a smaller size for my niece. And actually, the whole reason this project is getting pockets is because she wanted pockets. Alright. So, just out of curiosity, I'm going to count. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, it's not exact. I was just curious how many spider stitches. On this side I have 9 spider stitches until I reach my stitch marker, and then on here I actually have 8, but like I said, it's not a perfect science as far as the your pockets go. You don't even have to put pockets. So I do have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 9 spider stitch marked for this, for the pocket, and then over here on this side I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. See, this pocket is actually quite a bit bigger, so I am actually going to move this stitch marker just a little bit because it is slightly larger. So anyways, I have nine spider stitches across here. What I'm gonna do is, rather than work spider stitches here, I'm gonna place chains. So for each stitch that you have here, you're gonna need to chain one. Now this single crochet here, you're not gonna chain one for that stitch, but for each spider stitch you're gonna chain 3. So how many did I say? I had 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I had 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hold on. Let's do some calculations real quick. So I have 9 spider stitches times 3 stitches each. That's 27. It's 10 that I have. And now I'm going to turn my work a little bit because, yeah, I got to reposition again. And we're going to skip 9 spider stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 5 because for me it's a decrease. It may not be a decrease for you, but that would be 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then I'm going to place a spider stitch right in here in this chain 1 space. Now I'm curious, because see, that looks like a huge pocket to me. I googled how wide the mouth of the pocket should be, and it told me 5 inches. This looks more like, yeah, see, I have 6 inches over here. So you can adjust this any way you like. I'm gonna frog this and adjust it until I have about a 5-inch pocket opening. Probably what I will do is I will go back and work another spider stitch here, and then I will chain you know, how many ever I need, and I'll work another spider stitch over here to shorten it to a little bit shorter. I need a little bit shorter. But like I said, you can adjust the pockets however you want in this row to make it bigger or smaller. As soon as I get my pockets adjusted the way I want and I finish this row, I will come back on here and show you what it looks like, and we will move on to the next round, and you guys can see how we're going to do the next round with this pocket opening. Okay, so I ended up shortening mine to 27 chain stitches. Not 27 chain stitches, I'm sorry. I ended up shortening mine to 18 chain stitches and then skipping 6 spider stitches. So 1, 2, 3. That 4th one is a decrease. 5 and 6. So that's what mine looks like. And now on this other side, I have marked out 10 spider stitches. This right here is my seam. And this is the first spider stitch on this side of my pants. So I've actually counted over 10 spider stitches, which is what I have over here. And from here, I'm just going to work my regular spider stitches across until I get to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 until I get to right here. That's gonna be the 7th one, so right before there. So now that I have this, whoop, I'm just gonna work regular spider stitches across the front until I get here, and then I will chain another set of 18 and skip 6 spider stitches. Okay guys, so I finished working my setup round for the pockets, and I've already turned my work. Let's see. So I'm just gonna go along and work the spider stitch until I get to the chain spaces, until my first chain space. So we're gonna skip this one, skip that one, and we're gonna work a spider stitch in this last chain 1 space. See if I can adjust this to where you guys will be able to see. So we're gonna skip this single crochet and the first chain, and we're gonna place a spider stitch in that second chain space. Now when you're looking at your work, I'm gonna place my stitches in this top V here. That way when I go to insert my pockets, I can sew into this bottom loop here. So skipping that first chain, I'm gonna place a spider stitch in the second one. And then I'm going to skip 2 chains and place another spider stitch. And I'm going to do that all the way across my chain space, just working that top loop. So in my case, I should have 6 spider stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 spider stitches across my chain 1 space. This last chain I'm gonna skip along with the single crochet right here, and then I'm gonna jump into that chain 1 space and place another spider stitch. So this sets it up for later. We're gonna go ahead later and crochet an insert, and we'll be able to sew it in so that our pocket is on the inside of our pants. So I'm just gonna go along and work the rest of my spider stitches, and I'll do the chain space here the same way I did that one, and then I'll work more spider stitches until the end of the row. And then after that, you just go back to working spider stitches in your chain one spaces like you were doing before. It just leaves a gap for later use. And like I've said before, I'm going to work this up to at least 8 inches and then see whether or not it's time to add the waistband or not. I want my niece to try it on. So that's how we're gonna do the pockets. Alright guys, so this is what my pants are looking like. So this is the front here, and I will show you. I have done approximately 8 inches up, and I did have my niece try them on, and she said that yes, it is time to add a waistband. So to do that, to start off with, we're going to be doing a round of single crochet. Now, if you are like me, and you're working with the inside of your pants facing you, you're going to go ahead and, you know, join your round like you normally would. And then you're going to chain one and turn your work. And then you're going to place a single crochet into that same stitch there. Now, if you are already on a row that has your pants, the outside of your pants facing you, you're just going to chain one and then place your initial single crochet into the same stitch that you chained one from. Now for this round, we are going to be placing single crochets only in the single crochets. So I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but I've got a single crochet here, and then I've got, this would be a chain one space, and we're going to skip that space, and we're going to place a single crochet in the next stitch as well as in the next stitch. So we're going to go all the way around this this row, or this round, skipping chain spaces. Oh, I got one right there in a chain space. We're going to be skipping chain spaces. That's a chain space. Skipping the chain spaces, and we're placing single crochets in single crochet stitches. So that's a chain one space. We're going to skip it. We're going to single crochet, and then we're going to single crochet. Skipping that chain one, we're going to single crochet and single crochet. Now what that's going to do is it is going to bring in our waist a little bit. So it might bring it in a little bit. If it does, it won't be by much. But in my situation, I did want to bring in my waistband a little bit anyways. But for the first round, we're going to we're going to be skipping the chain one spaces. Now if you don't skip those chain one spaces, what's going to happen is your waist measurement will actually increase instead of staying the same or possibly decreasing. Because I already tried that and had to frog it. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go around placing these single crochets, and I'll meet back up with you guys when I get done with this round, and we'll move on from there. Alright guys, so this is what my waistband looks like after that one row of single crochet where we just skipped the chain one spaces. Now you can see that my stitches look a little stretched out a little bit here. That is because I have tried a few different things for this waistband, and I haven't liked any of them. So initially I had planned to try to do some elastic in this pair of pants, but I've decided against it. I'm just gonna go with a drawstring. I don't think that that'll be too big of a deal. Now this area across here initially measured 17, which would make it 34 inches in the waist. Now after doing the single crochet round, it brought it down to I think approximately 16, which would make it about 30 inches. So that I did measure my niece's waist at 30 inches, and this is, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, guys. I'm filming this as I'm coming up with it, and you know, there's been clips that I've filmed and then I didn't like the results, so I got rid of them, that kind of thing. But I did initially measure her waist out at 30 inches, so I'm going to go ahead and do a drawstring style to hold up her breeches. Now I do need from here to here to measure about, from here to here to measure about 10 inches. So when I measured it, it measured 9 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and do another round of just single crochet, and then we are going to start setting up for the drawstring. Now for the drawstring, you can do a chain or you can do some ribbon. Personally, I bought some purple ribbon that I knew my niece would like. Her favorite color is purple. So that's what I'll be doing. But like I said, you could use I-cord. You could make yourself some I-cord. You could crochet a really long chain. There's a lot of options when it comes to what you want to do for your the actual string. For your drawstrings. But for this round, I'm just going to chain up one, and I'm going to place one single crochet in each stitch just to get closer to that 10 inches that I want. Now if this were an adult size, I'd probably need it to measure 12 inches from crotch to the top of the waistband, but since I'm making a child-sized pair, I just did 10 inches, or I'm just going to do 10 inches. So yeah, anyways, this row is just gonna be single crochet, one stitch, one single crochet in each stitch all the way around, and then I will meet back up with you guys so that we can start the drawstring area. Alright guys, so I've made it back around with my second row of single crochet, and I've already joined this round. So to start the waistband, we are going to chain up 2, and then working only in the front loops, we're going to place double crochets only in the front loops. If you want to mark that first back loop, you can with this stitch marker. You don't have to, but it'll help, hopefully, to show where that back loop is later when we go back to work into it. So for this whole round, we're going to be working only in the front loops, and we're going to be working double crochets, 1 double crochet in each of the front loops of every stitch. So it's going to look something like this. Alright, so I finished my first round of double crochet. So we're going to go ahead and slip stitch to join this round to our first double crochet. And then we're going to chain 2, and we're going to place another double crochet in each stitch around. This time we're working through both loops. And we're going to do 2 rounds of just plain double crochet, working through both loops of each stitch. Alright, so I've gone ahead and finished my 3 rows of double crochet, and I've also joined the last round together. You guys might be able to tell, like, the waistband is kind of coming in a little bit. That's fine, it'll stretch out later. So to make this a full waistband, or I'm not really sure what you would call it, but what we're gonna do is these stitches here that we didn't work into, the back loops down here that we didn't work into, we are going to go along after I get some more yarn, keeping our working yarn behind us. We're gonna, I guess we could chain 1 and then go into the stitch, and then we're going to go through that first back loop. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. We're going to go into that first back loop, and we're just going to slip stitch all of it together. All one big slip stitch. We can pull this stitch marker out now. So what's going to happen is it's going to fold these double crochets down, and there will be I guess sort of a seam there that we're going to go ahead and go into the second double crochet, and then we'll go into I'm trying to make it where you guys can see. We'll go into this second double crochet, and then we'll go into the next back loop, and again we'll just slip stitch. And you can see it does make a little bit of a seam here, but it's not that big of a deal. It's not big enough that it's gonna make it curl or anything like that. It'll stay up like this. So I'm gonna go. Okay guys, so I've made it all the way around with my slip stitches, and to join this round, hopefully you guys are able to see, to join this round I'm just gonna slip stitch. There's my last slip stitch. This is a chain 2 that doesn't count as a stitch, and I'm just going to slip underneath this slip stitch and join the round with one last slip stitch. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to go ahead and fasten off, leaving a tail to weave in at a later date. So let me zoom out again. Here is what they are looking like. This is the front of my pajama pants. So most likely what I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna go and kind of steam this. I'm gonna maybe steam iron this so it'll lay a little bit flatter. That's again another optional thing, but I'm gonna show you guys what I chose to do for the drawstring portion. So I'm gonna set these pants aside for now. So I got this ribbon here that I thought my niece would like, and this is what I'm gonna use for the drawstring. I don't know if I said this earlier in the video or not, but you can use ribbon, you can use I-cord, you can use a long chain. Apparently I'm not going to be able to just peel this back. I got this at Walmart on clearance. It is 5/8 of an inch. I was trying to just open that already, but it says it's 5/8 of an inch. It's not. It's pretty thick. It's wider than I thought it was gonna be. Wound up like this, I actually thought it was just one of these, but I mean that's good. That's good. So the waist measurement on those pants that I'm working on is 30 inches. So I'm thinking I'm going to use at least, I would say at least 48 inches. That way there is plenty of room for her to, I'm just going to cut this off, for her to tie her pants and whatnot. And actually I'm going to cut this at an angle. Yes, Kiwi. I'm going to cut mine at an angle, and then I'm going to singe the ends just so that it doesn't fray. I know, it smells terrible. And I'm going to go ahead and measure out 48 inches, and then I am going to actually put one of these tapestry needles on this. Depending on what you decide to do, or what you decide to use for your drawstring, you can, you know, you may not have to burn it, but if you're going to use a ribbon of any kind, I would advise singeing the end just so that it doesn't fray. And like you can see, it melted a little bit right there and started to kind of turn black a little bit. I can cut that little piece off and it'll be fine. But I've used thinner ribbon for, you know, drawstrings in the past. With the thinner ribbon, you can actually put beads on them. A long chain, you can put beads on them. I've never used an I-cord, but I imagine that that would be just as easy to use. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and measure out 48 inches, and then I'm gonna get it on my needle and show you guys how we're gonna add this, or add our drawstring to our pajama pants. Okay, so here's the front of my pajama pants. I ended up not worrying about ironing this seam right here. I just don't feel like it. But I've got my needle and I've got my ribbon here. It looks like both sides are the same. So I'm gonna put this on here, and I'm gonna try to find the center, about the center, which I'm gonna go with right here. And you're just gonna work this ribbon or your I-cord or whatever you're using for your drawstring. You're just gonna work it in between those double crochets. So you're not gonna actually go through those double crochets. You can see that the 3 rows of double crochets made a sort of casing. And so what we're doing is we're trying to fit this drawstring in through that casing, basically. I will probably have to, you know, go through a few stitches at a time until I get all the way around. It looks like I'll get about 4 stitches at a time, and you just have to work it through. It's not working through. Oh no, what is happening? Oh, see there, I got it caught on the thread. You want to be careful, because if you look, I actually got the needle stuck in the fibers of the yarn. If you guys can see that. You want to try to avoid doing that, because it will become a mess. Let's see if I can get this ribbon out, because the ribbon will be real easy to re-thread. See, and now I've got a snag. I've seen people do this with safety pins. I do have a small safety pin here. I guess I could give that a go. We'll see how this works. I am gonna try to keep this as flat as possible. Hopefully that snag doesn't show too much. Yeah, see, that works. And I'm just gonna I'll have to work it through. I think with my spider stitch hoodie, I used, see, I hate that when you go through the stitches, I hate that it leaves that kind of space there. I think with the spider stitch hoodie though, I used a safety pin instead of the tapestry needle. See, it's not wanting to go through this time. But that's how you do it, to the best of your ability. You just work it through this kind of casing thing that you've made. I'm actually going to try the needle again. Hopefully I don't snag it too much in the process. But once we're finished with this, we'll be moving on to making the pocket inserts, because we do still have to do that. So I'll meet back up with you guys here in a bit. Alright guys, I'm back again. I swear it feels like I am recording individual videos and all of this is gonna go all into one video. It's crazy. Anyways, so here is what my drawstring looks like after threading it through that encasing. I still need to go in and weave in this little end. So my ribbon is a little bit thicker, so I did play around with trying to do like a ribbon or like a bow or something, but honestly, you know, my niece is 10. She's probably not going to bother. I won't be surprised if this just ends up as, you know, like a great big double knot like this. So that's what the top of my, that's what my waistband looks like. So next we're going to be moving on to making the pocket inserts. And that is really super easy. If you recall, the pockets had to be a multiple of 3. So for me, that was that was 18. I'm gonna go ahead and leave myself a little bit of a tail here because I may end up using it to sew up one side of my pocket insert. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave myself a little bit of a tail. And then I am going to chain up 18. You are going to need to chain the same number that your pocket mouth was. So say if you did do 28, if you're using a smaller hook and a thinner yarn and your multiple of 3 was 27, sorry, not 28, but was 27, you'll chain 27. So for me, like I said, it'll be 18. So that's the width of my pocket. I'm gonna go ahead and chain one, whoops, chain one more, and then in the second chain from your hook, you're gonna go and single crochet, and you're just gonna place one single crochet all the way across. Alright, last one. If you want to count to make sure that you have the correct number of stitches, you can. So I'm going to go ahead and chain one, turn our work, and again we're just going to do a row of single crochet. And I am just going to continue to do that until my pocket measures a length that I need. For example, my niece does have a cell phone, so this right here is going to be the top of our pocket on one side. Will be where we started. This chain will be the top of our pocket for one side, and I need these single crochets to go down the length of the cell phone and then back up, and then when I fasten off, it'll be a deep enough pocket that she can slip her cell phone in to her pocket. So I don't know how big, I think she's got an old iPhone. I don't have an iPhone, so I don't know how much bigger it is than mine. Hopefully it's not too much bigger. But I'm going to use mine as a basis for how deep to make her pocket. So that is all there really is to the pocket inserts. I am going to make two of them of the same size. So I'm going to go ahead and work just single crochet for this pocket insert. Like I said, it's a one row repeat, and when it gets to the right length, I'll count how many rows I have, and I'll make a second one. So once I have that done, I will meet back up with you guys and show you guys how we're going to sew these pocket inserts and how we're going to attach them to our pajama pants. Alright guys, so here you can see I've already sewn in my first pocket. It is wide enough that I can slip my phone in. So I'm thinking that is a good size for my niece. Now, to do this, what I did was... Where is the other pocket insert? Oh, how did it manage to get way over there? To do that, for the second one, to make the pockets, what I did is I did 54 rows of single crochet. I started down here, so this will be my chain. My initial chain. I did 54 rows of 18 single crochet, and I ended it in such a way that the tail on the end would be on this side, since the tail that I left when I started was on this side. So that way I can take and sew the pocket insert up with the tails. Now, once that's done and the pocket insert is, you know, all sewed together, you'll need to take your pants and turn them inside out, and using the same color that sorry about Kiwi, guys. Using the same color as your pocket insert and your pants, you're going to sew your pocket into place. I'm going to show you real quick what it looks like once it's in place. I'm fighting with these pants to get them turned inside out. This is what it looks like inside out. So I didn't weave in my ends or anything because it's just for my niece. But I sewed it on this side and on this side. I did initially try to use up the scrap yarn, some of the blue scrap yarn. I thought maybe it would be nice to kind of break up the colors that way, but I didn't like the way it was turning out. So once you have your pocket insert sewn, the sides sewn together, you're gonna line it up the best you can, and this edge of the pocket here will be sewn to the top half of the pocket opening, and then you'll flip it and this piece here will be sewn to the bottom half of your pocket. So yeah, and then you'll be all done. I mean, pretty easy peasy. It's just I mean, I feel like this pattern is, or this tutorial is pretty minimal as far as sewing goes, but yeah, you'll just need to make sure that you only sew, you know, this portion to the bottom half of the opening and the top with this portion of your pocket. Don't catch any layers that you're not supposed to be catching. For mine, I just did a real quick whip stitch, and you can see there's some gapping right here. You can see there's a little bit of gapping, but it's not a big deal really. That's just because when I did mine, I chose to only sew through one what do you call it? I guess one of the bars down here, and then of course this bar here has a spider stitch attached to it, and then I sewed through the other bar, and so everywhere where there's a spider stitch, you can see there's actually a little bit of a gap at the base of the spider stitch, but like I said, it's not too big a deal. You can also see, like right here, when I started sewing, I put a knot in my yarn to keep it from pulling out while I was trying to sew around. But yeah, that's how you work up these pants. You know, if you guys have questions, let me know in the comments, or you can email me. I'm always happy to help.